Hello and thanks for joining us on this video. Now, sometimes life can feel like you are in a sort of whirlwind where everything seems to be out of control, but man's original purpose was to subdue the earth, to take control, and then to manage everything, all the resources that were created. Taking control means that you take control and you are in charge of your life's circumstances, including your career, your time, your resources, the environment that you operate in, and all areas of endeavor. These are all areas and segments that you need to be in charge of to fulfill your purpose. To be able to take control, one needs to overcome the opposition or things that may be resisting progress. I like this saying sometimes in football by managers when they are winning, that we took control of the game. Because what it implies is that once you can take control, you are in charge, then you can go ahead to dominate the opposition. Man on earth is not necessarily the strongest. There are many animals that are bigger, stronger, tougher than man. But somehow, man has been able to control all these. Sometimes we put them in zoos, where they entertain us. So we go in, it could be an elephant, however big a creation or creature, animal, we are able to put these in a place of captivity where we are able to control and dominate them, let them do what we want. What this means is that taking control is not related necessarily to strength or to numbers even. Now, talking about taking control, probably the British understand this concept better than anyone in the world. Having at some point at the peak of the British Empire, they controlled nearly a quarter of the world's population or the world's space then. So that is huge and significant. There are many countries around the world which as a result have been left with the British impact and its effects in many ways. So how on earth could the British, who understand control, taking control so much, be downsizing their army numbers at this time? So the original target of the British Army was to have around 82,000 personnel by 2025. But against the run of play, contrary to this target, a few years ago they downsized from 76,000 to 72, which means that they are going in the opposite direction to the original target. Now, to justify doing this and reducing the army numbers, the British Army commander said at the time, and I quote, this was part of the Future Soldier program, by the way, and this is what the Army commander said, that Future Soldier is the next evolutionary step for the British Army, the most radical change for the British Army in 20 years. It will mean changes to the way we operate our structure, technology, and workforce, unquote. So what is meant by this is that rather than relying on humans and the numbers of the army to prosecute wars and battles, they were going to rely on modern and emerging technologies to prosecute wars in the sense of the way that modern warfare is conducted. He said again that the army will be leaner and more agile and adaptable. And Future Soldier is about ensuring that the British Army is competitive. I'll leave the Army General's sayings there. But the main thrust of this was to emphasize that taking control is no longer about the number of boots on the ground, but you could have somebody sat somewhere in the army headquarters and directing operations, be it drones or other forms of modern technology. So the point I make is that taking control It's not necessarily about strength, but it goes beyond that. Now, in this first of a series of videos, I want to share some keys, some strategies that can help you. If you understand and use these, it would help you to take control, take charge of your life towards the attainment of your purpose. Now, the first key that I discuss in this video, there will be others in subsequent videos, but today I talk about attitude. Now, attitude is the frame in which you view the world, the frame in which others view you as well. It is the tone which people hear when you speak, and your attitude can affect your day, your everything that you do within a day, within a week, and if you don't control it, it can affect your entire life. It is a feeling or opinion about something, a way, or someone, or a way of behaving, and that is caused by your orientation, the way you orient yourself, you deal with people, you relate to other people. It might also be defined as a tendency or orientation, especially of the mind. So your attitude up in the mind can affect to a very large extent everything that you do. Your attitude can also be the source of transformation. And this is backed up by a 20-year study that stressed and found that amongst the many things that could be responsible for success, attitude probably is the most important. L. Nightingale said something that is quite important. He says that amongst the great wise men, teachers, historians, philosophers, prophets, there's always disagreement in terms of their points of view on things. But there is one thing that all of them agree, and that is the importance of attitude. According to former Harvard University academic William James, he says, and I quote, that the greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering the attitudes of their mind, unquote. So this also stresses how our attitudes, our way of thinking up in our minds can affect our lives, fortunes, and our circumstances. If you're a student of the Bible, you may have read that as a man, be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind. And as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Let me ask you at this point that how would you describe your own attitude? We have stressed how important attitudes are, but how do you describe, how would you rate your own attitude on a scale of 1 to 10? Where would you place yourself? According to Jeff Moore, he says, and I quote, that the most important thing you will ever wear is your attitude. Let me back this up with a story that I read about a man who went to a forest, and then he saw, it was a sort of camp in a forest, and he saw a man who had elephants, and these elephants were not chained by any huge chains, they were restrained by a very small rope. And a man was curious because the elephants were not making any effort at all to break away. So he asked the man who was in charge and said, why are these big, strong elephants not making any effort to go away? And what the man said was very profound. He said that at a very young age, we held and restrained these elephants with the same rope. So over time, they get constrained by the fact that they get conditioned to believe and to think that that rope is enough and adequate to keep them in place. So they don't even make the effort to break away. And this sometimes is very representative of how we as humans are conditioned to believe that certain things are either not possible or we cannot achieve them. No matter what tries to hold you, no matter the sort of conditioning that one may have gone through, it is important that you break those beliefs and then do understand that if you decide and you have that positive attitude that you can, then you can. Believing that you can't be successful is a good start, and it is very important step to actually achieving it. So we should not limit ourselves into thinking small. We should not confine ourselves into tiny little spaces of underachievement in life. We should no longer confine ourselves into believing that we cannot do things, but we should shatter those conditionings, those whatever restraints, whether they are physical, whether they are mental. We should break these and then to convince ourselves up in our minds that we can. We don't have to accept the status quo. Whatever situation that you are in, you don't have to necessarily accept it. But you need to convince yourself. You need to have that deep conviction that with determination you can and you will break it. Transformation starts up in the mind. Now I refer to that scriptural verse that says that be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind. So we should never underestimate the power that we have to take our lives in a different direction, says Germany Kent. And Scott Hamilton also puts it brilliantly when he says that the only disability in life is a negative attitude. So having a negative attitude can hold yourself back. What does negative attitudes do? Now, negative attitudes would make one pessimistic, uncooperative, and difficult to get along with. People with a negative attitude would have a negative mindset and usually adopt a posture of negativity and a negative line of thinking, impossibility thinking, discouraging people in team situations. The contrast, which is by far superior, is having a positive attitude. And that goes along with a determination and an eagerness to try out new things with renewed enthusiasm and effort. And people with a positive attitude would normally work well to elicit the cooperation of other people towards the achievement of common goals. Such people would normally build bridges, not walls, encouraging people to connect and then to collaborate. I like the example that has been said of Thomas Edison, who probably is the greatest inventor of all time. It is said, the actual statistics differ in many different accounts, but the essence of this is that he had tried over 1,000 times to create the incandescent light bulb, and he would fail in every one of these experiments that he tried. So colleagues, trying to dissuade him from going on, sarcastically sometimes, discouragingly, would ask, why do you keep doing this despite failing so many times? And he said that I haven't failed so many times. I haven't failed more than 1,000 times to create the filament bulb. But what I have succeeded in finding out is 1,000 ways that will not work. And this was really putting a positive spin on what could have been a real negative moment. And ultimately, he achieved his purpose. We need to understand, like Thomas Edison, that every failed attempt takes us closer to our destination. Zig Ziglar says that your attitude, not your aptitude, determines your altitude, which means that how far you can go in life depends to a very large extent on your way of thinking and then your attitude. Well, this is about all that we've got time for in this edition. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for watching. I will be following up with this with another few videos that will discuss other keys to being in control, being in charge, and ultimately fulfilling and achieving your purpose. So don't miss these other videos that will be coming next. But if you like this video and you found it helpful, I will encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Click on the notification bell so that you'll be the first to receive an alert when we upload new videos. And of course, we do that all the time. Please share this with your friends, with your family, and keep coming back to this channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.